really hope to see you on this stage with us for as long as possible today. And I'm super excited about our next panel. But I want to make sure that everybody is prepped for later today. We do have the Right of the Dot premium domain auction kicking off at 7 p.m. UTC on stage 1 today. And although I love having you here on stage 2, our sessions are going to be over and you will be able to join in all the fun. But here's the deal. You have to do your homework. You need to make sure that you are registered. And I'll tell you where. It is rotd.hibid.com. That is the Right of the Dot team's website to make sure that you are verified as a bidder for tonight. So if you're multitasking, you will have time later today, but just make sure that you get to that link and get registered for the Right of the Dot premium domain auction later today. So without any further ado, back on stage 2, I would love to welcome Braden Pollock as our moderator for the panel.
Is this stage 2? Because I just thought this was my office.
Well, here we are. This is stage 2 for now.
And I was on stage 1 yesterday, and I was sitting in the same chair in my office.
We've had you all over the place. You have been part of our event on every stage so far, I feel like.
Yeah, but I'm in the same place. The stage moves. I don't.
I know. We have a wonderful technical team that is making that magic happen. But I want to thank you for joining us and get our next set of panelists in for What's My Domain Worth? I'm super excited. I am going to be taking notes, but I'll let you kick it off with our team.
All right. Great. Thanks, Elizabeth. All right, let's bring in our panelists, shall we? Come on up, guys. Come on up to the stage. Stage 2. Don't go to stage 1. Stage 2. And there they are on stage 2. Hello, everybody. Leanne, good to see you.
Good to see you, Braden. Yeah, we finally meet.
Right? Finally, you're up on stage 2. Stage 2. Let's do introductions. I know all you guys, but everybody else, maybe not. So let's do introductions. Let's start with Leanne.
So I'm a web designer currently. I'm looking to sidestep within that industry. So I've been looking into domains for about a year now. Got a portfolio of about 600 as of today. And yeah, hoping to be full-time within the next couple of years.
And tell us about how you contribute to the community, at least on Twitter.
So on Twitter, I have a partnership with Dan.
Twitter.
Pronounce your T's, Twitter.
Whoa, Braden,
what was that? Wait, what was the joke?
I didn't like him taking the mickey out of our British accents.
He's, yeah. I've even got a Dennis the Menace mug. So, so yeah, on Twitter, I have a partnership with Dan in that they will give me some statistics about the domains that they've sold each week, and I'll analyze them and break them down and report the key points for each one, just so that over time, as that data accumulates, we can start to see trends coming and going and things like that. So yeah, that's mostly what I do on Twitter.
Yeah, well, thank you for if anybody else hasn't thanked you for it. I appreciate the deep dive in the extra data, because data is important.
Thank you. It is. Yeah, I'm learning a lot from doing it. So I would assume that everyone else is as well. And as I say, as that data accumulates, it's just going to get more and more powerful.
Well, I thank you for the contribution.
You're welcome.
Josh, who are you?
Who am I? Can you hear me all right?
It's sort of not great.
No. I'm a bit of a rookie at this anyway. So I don't really know what I do these days, to be honest. I do a little bit of everything and just, look for opportunities. And most of those opportunities come in the form of domains in some way or another. I co-own dnwe.com, which is a wholesale marketplace for domain investors. And I do a little bit of brokerage, and I do a little bit of investing. So
in NFTs.
And a little bit of NFTs, although that's more of a short term thing.
Well, we'll see. Right?
For me.
Right on. Okay. Next up, who are you? Are you new to this business?
Well, I'm probably new compared to some people, but no.
Yeah.
I am the co-founder and VP of brandforce.com. Been in the game probably 6 years. Used to work at Uni Registry.
Only 6?
Yeah, not that long actually.
Seriously?
Everybody's surprised at that one. Yeah.
It's because you're everywhere.
Maybe.
We just assume that you've been around longer than 6 years.
I'm like water, whatever's the quickest route. But no, yeah, I mean, I used to work at Uni Registry, then started my own brokerage, and we just went from there, and we've had a great year.
And at Uni, you were like, what were you, the sales manager, director, something?
No, I started out as a broker, then moved up to senior broker, then pretty much helped manage Frank's portfolio. Then I valued the portfolio, and then I worked alongside very closely with Frank for the final years.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
You certainly have seen a lot of data.
Yeah, I mean, a lot more then than I do now. My concentration span is not as good as it used to be, I must admit. But yeah, I mean, I was buried in the corner pretty much valuing those names for a very long time, as well as brokering them and selling them. And actually, I was the only person who stayed behind. I didn't go to GoDaddy when it sold. I stayed behind with Frank. And then, you know, I'm still very good friends with him, but we did our own thing, and he moved on to his own things, and I moved on to mine, and then I started my own brokerage and sales platform.
Right on.
You just had a $3 million sale this last week, right?
Yeah, thank you, Alan. That's very true. We got floor.com sold this week for 3.144 million.
For those of you that don't speak his language, he said floor in English. I'm just translating.
Sorry.
Yeah, floor.com.
We'll try with the Queen's English. Braden is very good at reminding me of those things. So we had floor.com this week for 3.14. And if you saw Elliot's press release, it was a little bit annoying because it was actually hold on a minute, let me get this right. It was $6,000 less than the second highest sale, which was Christmas.com, which luckily for us was also a brand force sale. So we got 2 of the top 3 publicly announced. Nice.
You couldn't push it a little bit. What that must be a conversion from a different currency. Is that right?
No. I mean, it was literally just it. It's funny you say that. I can't really get into specifics, but there's a reason it's at 3144, and it's because there's a 4,000 payment here, there, or somewhere, and I can't really explain more than that legally. But yeah, there is a reason it's 3.114. It's not currency.
Did it come in as an inbound lead, or do you guys outbound the domain names?
That one was an inbound lead. We do outbound domain names. This week on an outbound domain name, we received a $1.5 million offer. So believe it or not, outbound was pretty new to me after Uni Registry, but I seem to have found my feet pretty quickly. Data, again, is the key point when it comes to outbound. So it's the key point to everything these days. But yeah, it's really helped us do our outbound better. And I think having the mix of inbound and outbound gives you a better power to negotiate. And it's a lot easier when you bring to the table offers and other buyers. I mean, carefully and legally, respectfully, who you mentioned. But it makes the negotiation part a lot easier. And I think it gets all parties to the end result a lot quicker.
All right. And Alan, the other member on this panel of the Not Cute Accent Club, why don't you tell us, you work for that porn site called GoDaddy, right? Not safe for work, guys. Don't go to that site.
Not a porn site. I remember when I first started at GoDaddy 12 years ago, I was just telling Braden this, that a 12-year-old at a church event came up to me and said, "Hey, I see you're wearing a GoDaddy shirt. You know that's a porn site?" And so I had to explain to this 12-year-old that it wasn't a porn site. But no, I've worked at GoDaddy for 12 years.
I just want to point out that the 12-year-old, it was a 12-year-old that was familiar with porn sites.
Or Super Bowl commercials, and there could have been some confusing advertisements back then. But no, I've worked at GoDaddy for 12 years, and I run the sales and brokerage teams, so anything to do with the aftermarket sales, so Uniregistry, Afternic, GoDaddy, domain broker service, and whatnot.
And to be
Alan,
clear,
next
that
question.
means that anybody that wants a name out of the Namefind portfolio or any domain that's owned by GoDaddy or is trying to negotiate with a broker, they all answer to you, Alan. Is that right?
I wouldn't say answer. We work together, but they're on my team.
You're being modest. I'm just telling everyone that they should ping you directly, like I do, just to harass you.
Braden actually stopped pinging me directly because he didn't like my answers. So
Yes, that's true. That's true.
I'll get slightly offended when someone else reaches out to me. And I'm like, wait, this is a Braden deal?
Well, that's because you blew me off last time. But I did ping you the other day, and what did I say?
That I'm your favorite person, something like that. It was long,
Yeah.
paragraph.
I did say I had no agenda. I just wanted to say hello.
Definitely wanted something there, Braden.
I didn't, Alan, right? There was no ask.
Not
Okay.
today. What about tomorrow?
Tomorrow, maybe like in an hour, could be different.
You got to play the long game.
All right, and so I'm Braden. I've been in this business for about 15 years, and I've moderated every Namescon, as well as most of the other conferences around the world. And I focus primarily on premium oneword.coms, but I dabble in a little bit of everything that I think has value. I'm not a com maximalist necessarily, although some people will accuse me of that. I'm not against the new G's, just whatever I think will make money. I was on the .io panel yesterday because I buy .ios because they're profitable. So if for those of you in the audience that want this panel of experts, to appraise and give you our opinion of your name, feel free to put it in the chat or the Q&A. What's it called? Tell them to put it in the Q&A. Put it in the Q&A, and then we will talk about it. Don't be offended if we don't like it. Don't give us a whole bunch of random crappy names to talk about. We want something of substance, because we can all hand register a 14-word dot something or other. But let's talk about something that other people will be interested in. Does that sound fair? And all right, and here we go. Please appraise metaavatar.io, which was submitted by Sumith. MetaAvatar. I'm going to go to Josh first, since you are the NFT king on the panel.
My first instinct is going to be 0 on this one. I don't like the name at all.
Well, let's break it down a little bit. So meta is a great root word, right? Metaverse done very well.
Meta avatar, for a start, doesn't roll off the tongue very well. You've got something that ends in an A and begins with an A. That's never great. And I mean, so yeah, meta is a good keyword for the metaverse. I get it. And avatar is also something that's used in the metaverse. So in principle, meta avatar does make sense. But how is that going to be used as a brand or a business, or just about, I find it very hard to very hard to see any company with any kind of decent ambitions using metaavatar.io as their brand. And I mean, while crypto and NFTs do like .ios, it's not a .com, right? So it's a recently hand registered .io domain from May of this year. And unfortunately, it doesn't have any real value. Does that mean that it can't sell for $950 or $1,000? Sure, it can. There's probably like a 0.05% chance that this one can sell for $950 or $1,000. But are you going to be like cash flow positive by registering domains like this one? No, you're not. So that's why I say it's worth zero.
But the thing is meta avatar could be complementary or could be redundant, right? Because they're both kind of in the metaverse. I also don't like this one, but I think he might be on the right path. I don't think he's totally off base, because I think meta names are still good, and avatar names I think are probably good, although I don't have any data to back that up. Alan, do you have anything, any comps that, I know you can't share the comps necessarily, but anything that you can kind of refer to that is similar?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that would give me an indication that MetaAvatar.io is a great name. So I'd kind of second what Josh said. It might sell for $900, but it's not one that I would consider as something I would personally invest in.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to add, or should we move on to the next name? Louis, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. I don't think it's incredibly valuable. However, if you look a bit into it, the avatar.io sold for 90,000 and metaverse.io sold for 175,000. Now, that being said, doesn't make it worth its weight in gold, I agree. However, and there's nothing screaming out on Google about it, but I think there's going to be something somewhere about it in the future. I'm just not sure what. So I don't want to say it's worth nothing. I personally, if you saw that for like 400, 500 bucks as an investment, I think it would be quite a good one, just based off those little things I saw.
And frankly, if he can get some hundreds of dollars, it's a win, because it was a hand reg from May.
Yeah. Maybe something in the future. One of those names, I think something might happen. Just don't know what. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Ivy has submitted netzerohomes.io. I don't think anybody's going to like this one.
If you said .com, it would have been all right.
Right, but IO is a technology extension, and Net Zero Homes is not tech, right? I mean, it's not even prop tech, property technology. It's not prop tech either.
How many three-word.io sales have you ever seen?
That was my first thought as well. Just the number of words in the extension. It's quite long.
Yeah.
I think it applies not only to .ios.
Yeah.
I think that not only applies to .ios, but to other GTLDs as well. Really, when you start getting up into 3 words, it's typically not going to be an investment, because there's a lot of other options out there for those end users. I do like this one better than Meta Avatar. There's a lot more registrations around Net Zero Homes, so there's 18 TLDs registered in that. But yeah, not something that I think is going to be a high value name. Probably under 1,000 is what I'd price it at.
Yeah, the right of the dot sometimes is industry specific, right? So VC is going to be venture capital, and GG is going to be gaming related. IO is going to be technology, and so the left and the right sometimes need to match. IO is not kind of a benign generic extension that means nothing, right? .com and .net and .xyz don't really mean anything. You can kind of put anything to the left of the dot, but IO should be tech related. Does everybody agree with that? If not, that's your chance to tell me I'm wrong. Nobody's telling me I'm wrong. Okay, let's move on to the next. Anshuman, I hope I didn't butcher that name, has submitted healthybakers.com.
Healthybakers.com.
Yeah. Leanne, what do you think?
I think it's got a nice positive sound to it. It's quite brandable. Just thinking it's quite specific in who would buy it, but maybe someone who made baking products that weren't full of sugar, and I could see it being used for something like that.
All right, but what about the fact that it's plural? There's a name out there of equal value. What's happening with healthybaker.com? I mean, I haven't looked it up. Sounds like somebody else.
Very good point, yeah.
That's a problem.
Shall we have a look?
It's in use.
Healthy Baker.
It's in use, yeah. It forwards to healthybaker.com.au,
They're quite a big firm. I always looked at them.
which is
Oh,
a
okay.
brand.
And if you look at other brands too, most people are using Healthy Baker, not the plural version. So probably not as much value in the plural.
Hmm.
I'd probably just say it's an average name. Probably $2,000 is what I'd price it at.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, and to do outbound, I would suggest reaching out the owner of Healthy Baker, the singular, since they have 2 extensions at least, right? Because it redirects over to the AU, right? That's a potential buyer.
I would price it slightly higher personally.
So would I.
I see that it's priced at 6,888. I would price it somewhere between there and 10K. And the reason why is because it's taken in 6 TLDs, healthybakers.com. There's also healthybakersbox.com.net.org that are registered, Healthy Bakers Field, Healthy Bakers Street, the Healthy Bakers. So there is some usage. Anytime there's usage like that, I'm going to price it a little bit on the higher end of my my spectrum for those kind of names, and for me that would be between the 5 and 10K range.
Well, Alan undervalues names unless I'm interested in them, so that's the way it works.
Are you interested in this one, Braden?
Healthy Bakers. Healthybakers.com is the type of name that would sell on an expired auction for a few $100.
Yeah, but if there's users out there using Healthy Bakers Box and Healthy Bakers Field, then those are potential buyers too. So it sounds like there's a possibility for this name. So you think between $5,000 and $10,000, Josh?
That's where I would price it. I think if you wanted to get a sale, I think that sells in a couple of years in the 2,000 to 3,000 price range pretty comfortably.
But price it higher and accept 2 to 3. Is that what you're suggesting?
I think that for me, because of the stats, I would price it in a little bit. I would price it where he's got it priced right now, which is $6,888. I think that's fine.
But
I'm a little bit
accept
different.
2 to 3.
Sorry?
But accept 2 to 3,000.
Yeah, I mean, if I got an offer for 3K and I, didn't get a frequent amount of offers on the name, I would probably take it, just because I'm in the business of rolling over profits into more names.
Well, then Alan is not undervaluing because you guys are in the same range.
And also, I think what
Josh
you
said he was undervaluing it. Nobody else did.
Oh yeah, well I was just trying to take a shot at Alan. That's all.
Yeah, and my point on those other names that Josh mentioned, like Healthy Baker's Box goes to a park page on GoDaddy, and Healthy Baker's Field is forwarded to a health dash community. So I'm not sure if those are going to be potential buyers of the domain name. So I feel pretty confident that 2,000 is where I'd stay.
I think I look at it a bit differently, and I think this is why maybe sometimes my brokerage works a little bit differently as well. Sometimes the plural is not a bad thing, and I believe with a name like Healthy Bakers, the plan is to have more than one bakery. And if you're more than one bakery, then not necessarily is the plural of the S a bad thing. I mean, look at McDonald's, look at Five Guys. They don't shy away from the singular. And I think it's all about the vision. Like, guaranteed that you can't guarantee that you're going to get that buyer, but you should certainly price it based on hoping that you get someone like that who is looking to make a franchise of those kind of delicatessens or those kind of businesses. And I would probably price it higher at 15 to 20,000.
Man, and I think those are bad examples though. McDonald's isn't plural. There's an apostrophe in McDonald's. It's ownership, and Five Guys wouldn't sound good as Five Guy.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I'm just saying that in a sense of where you're a business with more than one branch, in many cases, sometimes a plural is not a bad thing.
Yeah, well, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Adam has submitted ranked.com. Ranked, past tense, RANKED. Louis, what do you think, bud? Gotta unmute yourself.
Rank.com. Okay. These are where they get interesting.
Wait, ranked.com spelled correctly?
Yeah.
I'm going to go probably high here because these are the types of names that I sell. I'm I think it could be a great use for a data company, information company, subscription to be in some sort of ranked service, not maybe like TripAdvisor, but not necessarily for holidays, maybe for another piece of information. I'm going to go with, if we were selling it, I'm going to go with an end user price of 1.5 million.
Wow, that's
I
aggressive.
know I think differently to everyone. I am well aware of this. I'm not shying around the bush. I just, end user price, that's what we'd probably ask. And I think we'd probably take an offer in the 800K plus region.
Okay. It sounds more like an SEO name to me.
Yeah, I
Sure.
was thinking SEO of maybe someone who can prove results. So the fact that it's ranked rather than rank, or the ranked means they can show that they have ranked. So that's my first thought on that. But I would put maybe high five figures on it.
Yeah, that's you got a big delta. I would be closer to Leanne as well on the name. I would be more along the lines of 150K would be about what I was looking for. It doesn't mean that you can't necessarily get more, right, from the absolute, cream of the crop buyer that just had to have that name. But I'm a little bit more. I'm quite data driven. The stats for that being used as a brand are very low. Does that necessarily mean that it's a bad name? No, it doesn't. But it doesn't mean that there's a lot of demand today to use ranked as a brand, which is why, for me, I think it's hard to demand a really high price for it. I think that these type of oneword.coms that end in ed or ing and those kind of things that represent, an industry that or a word that is, good, like rank. Rank is a great name. Ranked is not as good, but it is a good word. So those type of names, I think, now can fetch the low six-figure range. But a name like ranked.com a few years ago, I would say you'd probably be pricing that name more in the 50 to 75K range. So that's my thoughts.
Alan?
Yeah, I would tell someone, probably don't put an asking price on it. And when people ask you for the price, tell them you're looking for 200 to 300K. Most likely, I probably would consider accepting 150, 100K if it was my name, though.
So I totally agree with Alan. I would also put it in the 200 to 250 range and accept something in the 150 range. I would not accept anything in the 5 figures. I think that's too low. I think it's a good name, particularly for SEO or maybe something sports related. But it's a solid one word, easy to spell, 2-syllable. And I've done well with past tense words ending in ed. So definitely a 6-figure name.
I was just going to say, unchained.com sold at GoDaddy for 175,000. I personally think that's a lot worth. And everybody who's listening should be well aware that all my pricing is creme de la creme. So I'm always going to usually be a bit higher. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. But yeah, Unchained sold for 175,000. I definitely think 6 figures is possible.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ranked is a good name. So James Isles, we all know James. He has submitted nectar.io, which is a fantastic .io name. Who wants to take this one? Josh, you like IOs?
Yeah, nectar.io. I think he bought that one from DMWE, maybe, actually. I think I saw that one at some point.
I recall seeing it as well.
I think I like it. It's a good brand. Now, I mean, is it a premium.io? No, it's not. But it is a good name. Taken in 184 extensions. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'll check LinkedIn, see what kind of usage there is in LinkedIn. For .io, I put a little bit more of an emphasis on Crunchbase. the stats are actually better than what I would first think. Yeah, okay, it's not a pinnacle.io. It is actually a really good one. It's the type of name that I think would sell at Park.io auction for over 5K. And I think that end user pricing for me, I wouldn't take anything less than 50 right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think easily. So the com and the net are both fully developed. Org is not. Co is not. But to me, it's an empty vessel. Nectar is sweet, so it has kind of a positive vibe to it. I think anything can be called Nectar. The fact that there's 184 extensions registered. It's a great name. I'd probably price it closer to 75 or 85,000 as a bin, and maybe accept a little bit less. But that's a solid name to me. Anybody else have any thoughts?
I just love it. Yeah, I think it's a good name, but one word IOs, I'm never quite sure with the pricing for that. So what you guys have said has been helpful for me and seems spot on.
If it was a .com, it would be a 7-figure name, easy, right? I mean,
right.
Nobody's selling that name for 6 figures.
The .com's a huge company in the UK.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
I unfortunately think it devalues the .io a little bit, personally. But it is only a UK company. It's not like it's global.
I want to go back to Josh. You said when you were looking up the data, you were checking the stats on Nectar, and you checked LinkedIn and you checked Crunchbase, and you said you prefer Crunchbase for .ios, and that's because of the technology slant, right? You want to explain that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, .io is no secret that it's quite, like you said, slanted towards tech companies. A lot of tech companies like to be on Crunchbase. So, naturally I like to go to Crunchbase. Especially, I like the .coms as well. Any big brand typically tries to get on Crunchbase now, but particularly tech companies. And if you go to Crunchbase, type in Nectar, there's a lot of brands that are simply just Nectar. And for me, that's a good, a really good indicator of value. A lot of the time when you search for a keyword, it will be, Nectar something, right? Which is not as strong as a brand that's just called Nectar. So like, for example, there are a bunch of other companies that Nectar Financial, Nectar Technologies, Nectar Communications. They could all use a name like nectarcommunications.com or nectartechnologies.com, nectarfinancial.com. But the ones that are simply called Nectar, which is, there's 6-7 names right there, simply called Nectar, and they can't get nectar.com, nectar.io is the absolute, next best name for them. And they're all potential buyers, and whatever name they're using right now is not going to be as good as the .io.
Yeah. All right. So let's we've got 6 minutes left. So let's rapid fire a few of these names. Order CBD. One responder, and then we'll move on to the next name.
Sorry, what was that one?
Order CBD.
20K.
Yeah, I really like it. I'd maybe even go a bit more with that one, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm at 60K.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go around 50.
How about Real Fund?
Real Fund.
Good name.
Yeah.
35K.
Anybody else?
I'd be in the same range, 35, 40.
Yeah, I'd want to research the data points on that one a bit more.
All right, here's one not as good. SEO Services Company. 5K?
Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah, I agree with that.
1,000.
A typical SEO guy will tell you something about
that. Right, fair. How about Goldly, Goldly, Goldly.
I love it. Incredibly brandable.
It is very brandable, yeah.
55.
I would say 25.
25.
Alan?
25, 35.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably go a little bit higher. But yeah, same range. All right. How about design.io without any vowels? DSGN.
I've had more .ios than .coms.
Yeah, sign of the times, my friend.
True.
What do you think of no vowels on an IO?
DSGN.io, $1,500.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I'd go 2.5 just because for a web design company or something like that could just be a really nice short, just look great on all the branding and things. So yeah, I'd go a little bit more with that. It's really nice.
No comment.
How about proper, PROPR.io? So drop the last.
They're selling in the .com world. Not sure. I don't know much about .io, but they sell pretty well in the .com world. I don't know.
Price?
10, 12.
Really, that high?
Well, I mean, I see some of them in the .com world sell for 20, 30K quite often.
Right. Okay. How about cannabismedical.com? Not medical cannabis, but cannabis medical. Flipped.
I think it can still work that way around. Yeah, I'd say that could be cannabis medical. Maybe 10.
Josh?
Yeah, I would price at 10 as well.
They can work that way around, but they rarely do, in my opinion.
I just think for that one, it's.
Yeah.
I think on that occasion it works.
I might price it a little higher actually. I might price it closer to 20.
I'm with 20.
Yeah, because it actually could be the actual medical name of a company. So I'd probably be 25, 30.
Okay. How about dex.is?
Is that Iceland? What's that?
Yeah.
IS?
I don't think it's that Iceland. 1 minute.
Yeah, it's Iceland.
It is. I'm gonna go to a little tight in scope there.
Yeah, that would probably say 2 to 5K.
Last I pick up .co.uk's 3 letters, 500 quid. So I'm going $500.
So that's what you would sell it to an end user?
No, but even selling there, I mean, you see, I mean, I've never seen a .is sale in my life. So even if you wanted to go real high and 2.5, but I just don't see them sell. Well, I wouldn't see them sell anyway. So, but yeah, not much, I'm afraid.
All right. How about skipping down? So Peter said, how much would local.ly sell for today?
Right now?
The backstory is that I sold local.ly years ago, which for $125,000, and this is like 10 years ago, I think. And to this day, it's still the highest .ly sale. What do you guys think of that? You think it's worth more or less?
Much less.
Much less?
Much less.
I think less as well. I LY was hot for a minute and it's kind of dropped off. So I think it would go for less. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I think, yeah, me too. But I've only been around for about a year, so I didn't see that all happen at the time with the .ly. So I don't really have a reference point to really comment on it, to be honest.
I think domain hacks will come back around. I think we're on a cycle. I do think they'll return. Not right now, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Right now, there's a lot of other extensions.
Exactly.
There weren't 10 years ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot more competition. Rich Lau has submitted rye.com.
I saw that the other day.
It's definitely 7 figures is what I would ask for it.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got a price of 7 figures. Where in the 7 figures?
Probably 3 to 5.
I would go with 2.5, and I'd probably take anything over 1.1. It's not good for the radio test.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not got amazing stats. For a 3letter.com, obviously, all 3letter.coms have somewhat okay stats if you dig deep enough, but Rye, it's not like ice.com, for example, right? Ice.com, for me, that's like a $5 million name, $3-5 million name. I would say Rye.
Sure. Yeah.
For me, it's like.
So the bottom line is, Rich, it's not a good name, and I'll take it off your hands. I'll give you $1,000 just to,
I would say $1 million is probably about right.
Heavily linked to alcohol as well, which is not necessarily a positive anymore.
Well,
All right, so we have to wrap up. So thank you, everybody. Elizabeth is here to kick us off.
I am, but it has been such a pleasure to see you all at work. We are hoping that some of you are going to be able to join us over in the Q&A room to kind of continue and maybe have a few more rapid fire questions open on what's my domain worth. Really appreciate this group today, and thank you for joining us and taking the time. We will get you guys, our technical team will get you guys over to that room.
Great.
And thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Make sure that when you are done with the Q&A session, you join us back on our next join session link. Get that from the agenda on the platform, and definitely want to take a moment to recognize the team that is responsible for getting us all together here. The Namescon team has done an incredible job of providing content for us that is interactive and engaging. And again, make sure that you sign up for the premium domain live auction by right of the dot. That is at 7 p.m. UTC. You do need to register and get verified before you are allowed to bid. We'll see you back here in just a moment.